I wanted to talk to you about spice quality because it's one of the questions I get frequently. What I refer to is the difference between using spice that's organic and fresh and vibrant and bright. I will frequently teach spices with people who will tell me they've had the same spices in their cupboard for like 20 years, which I understand is actually pretty common, but it's going to have an enormous impact on your dish. And really the best way to explain it to you is by tasting. So I'm going to taste with myself and then I'm going to get my camera guy, Trav, to taste so you can see that, no offense Trav, but basically anyone can taste the difference between old and new spice. You don't have to have a particularly acute palate, and I'm not casting any aspersions. He's a brilliant filmmaker. Okay, so when we talk about the quality of spice, what we're talking about is the skirts. So the secondary and the tertiary aroma that a spice has. So the spices here I have ground coriander, so an organic, beautiful, fresh ground coriander, and then an older non-organic version. And then the same for cumin. So the cumin in the dark is the organic and nice and vibrant, and then this one is a non-organic, older, stale version of the spice. So every single spice essentially has a central profile. So for turmeric, it's bitter. For chili, it's heat. For cumin, it's wood or soil. But the beauty of spice comes from the skirts that it wears around that central profile. So turmeric is bitter, but around that bitterness, there's orange rind, ginger, there's recessed qualities of salt. There is sort of roundness and oiliness, so there's shape to the spice as well. And that means that the end experience of that spice is far more complex. And when it interacts with other aromatics and produce and fats in a dish, you're not just getting that singular interaction of its core flavour, you're getting all of the flounce and all of that beauty. And what that means is it's softening its behaviour within a dish. So the secondary, tertiary aromas are the aromas that are really going to give you beauty. As soon as you take them away, if you don't handle the spice well in terms of combining and of ratio, your mistakes are much more apparent because there's no beauty around it to soften your error. So really you're doing yourself an enormous favour, particularly as a beginner with spice, in using the best quality you can and refreshing them frequently. So for me, I refresh my spice every 3 to 6 months if I haven't used it. And I buy in small quantities from traders who I know import really good quality spice and who buy in small batches and who themselves have very strong run through with their shops. So nothing's sitting for very long. And that gives me comfort in terms of knowing that I'm buying sort of inherently sort of good quality with lots of aromatic character to that as well. So, Trav, I need you now, okay? So we're going to start with the older version of the spice. So ground coriander. So I'm going to talk you through the tasting, but what I want you to notice is the difference. And the reason I'm doing this is, like I said, I just want you to understand that it's very obvious if you pay attention and you have them side by side. So I'm going to go this one first. You have to have enough that you can taste it. So it's still quite delicious. Ground coriander is like chamomile quality. It's very light and fluffy. It's like pollen in your mouth. It's kind of hard to grasp the flavour. But it's earthy, lemony. Get that?
Yep.
All right. So that's the non-organic older version. Now this is the organic, fresh, dried ground coriander. And it's just, yeah.
Is it weird to say soapy?
No, it's not weird to say soapy, but more present.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so stronger lemon, stronger texture even, like the texture in the mouth is more solid.
Yeah.
I wonder if you have the soapy coriander, Jen. Do you like fresh coriander?
Yeah, I don't mind. Yeah.
But it is soapy. It's a bit lavender too. Yeah. So old versus new. So you get that, right?
Yep.
Okay. So this is cumin. So we're going to go old. Oh, hang on. Have some water. All right. I'm going to go this one. which is kind of dirty and cranky. Yeah, and bitter at the back. And actually unpleasant at the back a little bit. Yeah. And it shouldn't really be. That's the quality in the spice. When you get a really good quality ground cumin, it can be bitter and pungent, but it's not unpleasant. Like that has an edge. I don't like it. Okay, so the fresh one, organic. Oh.
Yeah, it's like lemony kind of sour, bitter. The bitterness isn't like a sharp bitter though, it's kind of just a mild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still soil.
Huge difference.
Yeah, isn't it? It's all the quality. So you can see that if you're using a spice, like especially if you're starting, you use that and you use a little bit too much of that ground cumin when it's a bit old and the bitterness is dirty, that impact on your dish is enormous. But if you're using this, it's just instantly prettier.
Yeah.
So the impact is kind of exponential. If you're using, 6, 8, 10 spices in a dish, and each of them is the older, crankier version, then you imagine that the end result of that is much less beautiful than if you're using, those fuller, fresher flavours.